Robots are cool. Everybody likes robots. Now imagine if those robots can transform into vehicles. That's also really cool. Now imagine if there were good robots and bad robots, and they fight each other. Pretty damn sick if you ask me. Now bear with me here, bear with me. Imagine those robots having an ongoing war from a different planet. One faction wants to kill us all while the other wants to protect us. Alright, that's pretty cool. That's like the coolest thing ever. I don't know how they could even possibly get any better. The leader of the good robots is voiced by Peter Cullen. Alright, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. So let me introduce you to Transformers. They've been around since the 80s, but today we're focusing on the live-action movie franchise which started in 2007. Transformers used to be on top of the world. Each movie was making an insane amount of money, and the numbers only went up. Critics never really liked these films, but the general audience definitely did. But there would be one film that changes everything, that causes this billion-dollar franchise to completely collapse. Transformers: The Last Knight, the worst Transformers film ever made. Not just awful writing, but awful directing, editing, acting, honestly, you name it. Like, look at the aspect ratio of this scene right here. I'm not editing this. This is straight from the film. It's such a headache to try and watch this movie. They also do this annoying thing where any object and vehicle they find is just a transformer, but you never see it transform. It's just weird to me.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't do that.
Jumped? What do you mean jumped?
The old World War II sub jumped its moorings. They're in a transformer.
They could pick up a dildo and be like, this is Fluckatron. He was a scavenger on Cybertron. But it's just a fucking dildo. This movie also retconned every previous film while trying to establish a cinematic universe. So if you didn't know, this film was meant to be the launch to a Transformers cinematic universe. They already started filming a Bumblebee movie and planned a World War II Transformers movie. Okay. There was a spin-off about Optimus and Megatron and Cybertron, we'll get back to that, and they planned a medieval Transformers film. Most of this was scrapped when The Last Knight failed, which, fair enough. Bumblebee would go on to not get great test screenings, which led to the director Travis Knight convincing Paramount to make the decision of reshooting many things and committing to a reboot. So just like that, the Bay universe was over. Kinda, but also it is over. Alright, let me break it down. So Bumblebee came out, and anyone who knows the stories of these films can easily tell that Bumblebee is not connected to the previous movies. For starters, The Last Knight established that Bumblebee has been on Earth since World War II, while the Bumblebee movie shows him arriving to Earth for the first time in the 80s. Yes, there are some connections, like Sector 7 and Bumblebee just having the same face, but that's only because this movie was meant to be a prequel but was changed to be a reboot. But a producer who I shall not name went on a rampage in 2018 constantly saying that Bumblebee is a reboot, and then going back on his words and saying that it's a prequel. And then going back on his words and saying it's a reboot. Again, just repeating that same cycle again and again and again. It's also worth mentioning that Bumblebee didn't make as much money as the previous Transformers films, so that kind of indicates a possible problem moving forward, but Bumblebee also became the first live-action Transformers film to be loved by both critics and audiences, so everything wasn't completely awful. Anyways, cut to 5 years later and Rise of the Beast comes out. It's a sequel to Bumblebee and is a much bigger film compared to Bumblebee. It features the Autobots, Maximals, Terracons, one Predacon, and Unicron. Goddamn Unicron. Don't get me wrong, seeing all these characters was insanely cool, but this was not the right time to do it. Let me explain why. So as we've talked about, The Last Knight messed everything up and caused a lot of people to lose interest. I can imagine Bumblebee being the sort of film to get people back into Transformers. It's a very simple movie. There's only one Autobot and two Decepticons. There's no ancient Transformers device that needs to be found or anything like that. The plot is literally just Bumblebee needs to keep Earth safe and these two Decepticons need to find him. It's a very simple plot. Rise of the Beast, on the other hand, already shot itself in the foot by releasing 5 years after Bumblebee. If interest was already low after The Last Knight, then a 5-year gap with no movies won't fix that. So what they should have done is make a Transformers film that was still about Autobots versus Decepticons, but on a much smaller scale. Have the Autobot cast consist of like 5 Autobots and do the same thing for the Decepticons. Have it set in a small town and have it be all about robots in disguise. You know, classic Transformers. Something simple and good, just so you can try and bring your audience back. And also so your rebooted universe doesn't go from a small scale movie to the next film being a major event. It's like if the MCU started off with Iron Man and then the very next film was Infinity War. It just doesn't work. It's such an insane jump. The problem that Rise of the Beast did was they went too big. After 5 years of no interest, what reason does anyone have to care for the Maximals or the Predacons or fucking Unicron? Like, the trailers themselves gave off the impression that you had to do homework in order to understand this film. That's not me exaggerating. I remember seeing comments saying stuff like, I didn't even realize another Transformers film was coming out, but I haven't even watched the most recent ones, and more comments like that. That's why it's a problem to say that these films that are very much intended to be reboots are actually connected to the previous movies. Because now you are not only giving off the impression that it'll be like the Bayformers movies, so anybody who doesn't like those films will just immediately pass on your new movie, but anybody who isn't caught up and doesn't want to watch any of the other films will just pass on your film entirely, thinking that they just won't understand it. By the way, I want to make it clear real quick, I fucking love the Bayverse films. I can acknowledge that they have bad writing, but I genuinely love those films. They mean a lot to me, so I'm not just hating on those films. I love those films. What Paramount should have done is officially say, and not take it back, that starting from Bumblebee, everything is a reboot and not connected to what came before. Instead of Rise of the Beast, we should have gotten a simple Autobot vs. Decepticons movie. Then make a spin-off film for the Beast Wars characters. Then make a sequel to your Transformers movie, and you can begin to establish Unicron and build up with that hype for him, and then fully introduce him in the third Transformers movie, where the Beast Wars characters can also be in it, and people will know who they are because of that spin-off film. But Paramount skipped all of that and just made things worse, and are just trying to use Transformers to revive G.I. Joe, what the fuck? So while they're currently trying to fix Transformers, they are also trying to use Transformers to fix G.I. Joe. Why? And apparently they are struggling to get the script for the sequel done, which I get it, writing isn't easy, but Transformers isn't a hard concept. It really shouldn't be that hard to get a Transformers film done right. Remember way before when I said they were trying to work on an Optimus and Megatron spin-off film? Well yeah, they eventually got to make it. And you know what? It was insanely good. But poor marketing completely failed that movie. Like, that's a fact that the marketing just fucked over the film entirely. They marketed the film as something it wasn't, for some reason making it look like a kid's film with horrible writing. But they just barely tried to market that film, which is a massive shame. Just like Rise of the Beast, Transformers 1 lost a lot of money as well. And apparently now Hasbro has dropped out of helping out with these films, so it's just Paramount on their own now. It really feels like they haven't been able to recover ever since The Last Night. They made good movies like Bumblebee and Transformers 1, but they couldn't care at all about marketing those films. And to be honest, I do like Transformers Rise of the Beast, but I just think it had a lot of wasted potential, and the direction they took was just not the right one at all. Hopefully soon they can make a Transformers movie that's really good and makes them a lot of money, enough to help save this franchise. Because I've loved Transformers my entire life. Those films mean a lot to me, these characters mean a lot to me, and honestly, I just want to see them succeed again.